are sitting down. Lots of lots of sparks in the air, not just figuratively. It seems. Nice stormy weather outside. We'll keep an eye on the forecast for all of y'all sitting at home. But thanks to everybody for watching. This will be round 15. Dylan going first against Howard. So, what is your scouting report, Alastair?
In what way?
These two players. Who are you thinking is going to win, first of all?
Oh, that's always very tough with these two. In that they're both very kind of fairly evenly matched. I guess overall Howard probably does have a slight advantage in that he's the higher rated of the two. And has won probably slightly more tournaments, but equally he's been in New Zealand far longer than Dylan has. So I guess with both of them playing at their best, it doesn't take much to kind of swing a game one way or another. So could be, yeah, anyone's game, but it should be quite exciting to watch.
I think I played Dylan before online. I'm not sure I played Howard, and yeah, he seems like I mean, before the advent of the Canadian transplant, Chris Tallman was the highest active rated player, right? In
Mm.
New Zealand.
Uh,
Once you
yeah,
retired, right?
yeah, yeah, retired, yeah. So Howard's been one of the highest in New Zealand for a very long time. And then, yeah, just as you said, occasionally someone from a different country will come in and take a spot for a while, but Howard will always try and get back there, no doubt. I mean, he's always very firmly, if not first, then second.
Indeed, indeed. And they see the handshake. We like to see the sportsmanship
Mm,
between these two. They probably played dozens of times.
no doubt.
Yeah, let me take a look at these stats while you give us the commentary.
Okay, so Dylan, first rack, ZYGDELR. So what's he going to do? Got a few options. I mean, with this many consonants, playing a bit longer might be option. So you could do things like Gaeld. It's not too bad keeping RZ. You could do Yes if you want, but LRD, LRDG, not great. Gride or Giad, other options. Yeah, Gride, holding LZ's pretty nice. Um, yeah, looks like Dylan's considering Gaeld. I guess Leggy is the other one. Leggy's got the nice setup of if you happen to draw an E, you can do res above it for 40 plus, and then maybe more distracted about the G and the Y. It's also got a nice front hook if you're interested, um, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, I like Leggy a lot, given the setup potential for the Z. So you can see
Yep,
that
and that's
come
what it's
down.
done.
I'm reading a little bit about Howard. He's won 185 tournaments. Oh my
Yep,
goodness.
and he's sitting with
That's
SSNVIEO. So
yeah. This looks good,
yeah,
but is
had an
there
N for
anything?
venisons, but not quite.
Huh, like voidness seems like it could be a word. I don't think it is. Um, so he might just be one letter off. Uh, wow. Yeah, I'd take a while here for sure. He is playing voidness. Maybe that is a word. Is that a word? Do you like this? No, don't check it
Yep.
yet.
I'm rusty.
Okay, I'm
Well, you
not
found it. He
crazy.
found it. Clearly,
Very
majority
good.
wins. Well done.
Okay, good, good, good. He does bleed.
This is why I'm just talking and not playing. Nah.
Yeah. So yeah, nice start for Howard, getting the
Yep.
bonus down.
And
Back to
then
Dylan.
Dylan's.
AFPQRRZ. Oh wait. Okay, that didn't work out.
Yeah. Although, again, you could go for more of a setup if you want. You could do so with this many clunky letters, playing a bit longer, such that it is, could be an option. So I'm quite liking Frap. It's quite good. with your Fledgy sets up if he doesn't notice, you might get your Z for 60 plus next turn, or either with the ZA going down alongside the AP, or potentially even like a 5-letter word on the triple, like Azot or Azine. You've also got the end hook of Frap, so a lot of flexibility where they kind of increases your chance that they won't block your nice Z spot. At the same time, playing off a bit more to try and get some vowels.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Frap and Pledgy with the setup there. And given what we know about Howard's rack, Dania plus A, he might block Playtania afterwards, but you can't know that. And I think, yeah, getting rid of some letters, scoring some points, and the upside of setting up the Z seems great. Question in the chat: is it that common to drop 7 on the first word? So I think the stats on that are around 1 in 6.5 to 7 if it's your first turn and nothing's on the board, and it's closer to 1 in 5 after an opening play. So it's
Interesting.
1 in 5, 1
So,
in 6. So at any given turn, maybe 15 to 20% of the time you'll get a 7 or 8
so
letter word.
Dylan's opted to change, which is not an unreasonable option given how clunky all of his letters were and getting stuck with that queue. So he's changed for keeping ZAR, so holding the Z for a bit of scoring potential, and the AR. Um, I mean, you can make arguments for and against that. It does become a bit tricky because the R is obviously to try and get you a bonus, but then holding the Z at the same time without an IZE or anything becomes a bit harder. But he might have been hoping to kind of dump the Z for a 40 on the next turn, well, then have the AR for a good bonus afterwards. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have worked quite as he would like, but you never know with how it's going to play. So,
Indeed, yeah.
and then as you mentioned, so Howard has plenty of vowels, so AAATINE, so very, well, a lot of different options for what he might do with this many nice letters. You've been, and this open, you're fairly tempted to just dump, so AVA for 12 holding Tenia seems like quite a nice option. If you want to go slightly longer for score, you've got things like annotates for double double, but you're only getting 28. It's not really worth it. But we'll see what he goes. I guess risk with Ava as the front hooks, but if they do that, then they give you even more floaters for your bonuses. Um,
Yeah, Ava looks quite strong. I would be hard pressed not to play Anates though, just given the game situation where you're up 38, it's your turn. You can do a decent amount of board control with the high scoring play. You're not giving too much back. There's a lot of upside to both plays. After Ava, a lot of the time you're going to take a very nice lead next turn. But it could also go wrong for you. So yeah, I'm not as convinced as you are. I think Ava's probably still top play in the position, but Anates looks pretty attractive to me as well. As you said, Dylan just replaced his Q with a slightly better J. As we see Aya
so
come down. Okay, similar idea.
yeah, and that's quite useful. He might, I guess, he leaves his options open for things like unnative or innative and that sort of thing for a double double, and doesn't give away as much. I guess, yeah, pros and cons. It means the board will be slightly more blocky, which, given he's got the lead, is not a bad thing. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and as you say it, in native is drawn out of the bag. You really wanted to play that last game. Um, and here we have it now. And it doesn't feel like there's a big chance of that getting blocked with Dylan's
Yeah.
rack of Jarl's RZ.
Mm,
So, yeah, I have
yeah,
no
it's a
idea
pretty,
where to even start here.
yeah, quite an awkward rack for Dylan, unfortunately. That doesn't quite work.
Yeah, I wonder what he's thinking about. I guess you could exchange again. At that point,
Yeah,
it feels, yeah, it feels really, really rough.
it's a shame. You'd be wanting to try and like go through the O of voidness and get some overlaps, but nothing really works particularly well. Like souls, you get a bit of score, but dumping one of the last S's isn't really ideal with that.
You
Um,
play Jarls to one of the S's. I mean, you're blocking the board, you're
mm,
scoring nothing.
yeah.
This is really
This
rough.
is this is why changing can sometimes be helpful, but equally it can go the way you well, it can not end the way you'd want. Oh dear. So he's played Giles, which seems like a good option in the circumstances. Not really keeps the E open at least. Gets him some score, but not a great position. And Howard has his rack lined up as INNATIE with a nice fee there. So a nice 90 plus points coming Howard's way, it seems.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard to come back from that. Um,
Here it goes. Oh, well, at least Dylan's got a nice rack. Oh, and it fits nicely. How nice. So Dylan will hopefully keep some suspense going with this next move.
wow.
Uh,
Okay. Yes. Hopefully we are about to see something very, very pretty.
looks like you've
And
seen at least one of his words anyway. So sorry for those who can't see. He's Dylan's got his rack sitting up as SEEZIER, and you will note that Howard has just put an N in a place that would get to a double word. So Dylan should be getting at least 80 plus for this, but hopefully he sees this close to 100-point move.
yeah, this is a situation of you find a good move, look for better. I mean,
Oh dear.
it's really hard.
He's
It's
oh
just
dear.
crazy to imagine anything better on this board, but Reese's fits with 5 overlaps atop
Mm,
of a native. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
That
well,
is very
at least he found
unfortunate,
one.
but very understandable. Very understandable miss there.
Yeah, it's as you said. Although you find something good, have a bit of a think. It's worth spending an extra kind of minute, well, extra 30 seconds or a minute, having a bit of a look through and see if there is actually anything better. But good that he's found a bonus, so keeps it kind of not too far behind, only 45 behind. And if he gets the use of that Z, then he could easily come back. So Howard sitting there with an IEYBANE. Unfortunately, that T of a native is not available for his lovely AN bite, but we'll see. I'm sure he'll do something nice anyway.
Yeah, I probably want to be playing a little longer here. Maybe something like Binate, or maybe something through the R of Jarls. You could also just overlap the JAR, underlap with AYE or something, but I mean that seems a little bit
Yeah,
dangerous.
yeah, it's a bit hard. If you use the J, then they're going to get more of it often. Um, so what to do?
Yeah, there's probably some other
Um,
options
I
too.
quite
It
like
feels like
so
there's a lot of options
Beanie
here.
BANY next to the sneezier is quite nice. Take out the Z, take out the under the JA spot. Um, Keeps IE, which I mean, not the best, but not terrible. Um, Probably gets you a similar score to things like your binate. Doesn't give those extra openings, but I mean, having
Hmm.
this much of a lead on this board, I think trying to kill it as much as you can, will kind of getting through the tiles will be quite useful. Because once you do
Yeah.
Beanie, then there's not many floaters left that will get you much, and you're sitting a bonus up. If they bonus through the E of Voidness, then you get a triple, and you're kind of in a quite a comfortable position at that point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Beanie has an overlap there. It scores a lot. I guess four more. It scores 32 atop the E of a native, but in terms of what that does in comparison, I really think that sacrificing the points is certainly the right call in this situation. So yeah, nice find there. Yeah, lots of options though. I'd be taking some time for sure. As
Yeah,
I
so
just
it's
comes down. Yeah, that's another
good
option.
score. I mean, keep some nice letters for bonusing next turn. Howard does quite like getting bonuses, and he's very good at getting bonuses, as we've seen with 2 out of his first few moves. And Dylan with a fairly clunky rack, but one nice letter in it. He's got COWIGU blank.
Yeah. So yeah, you want a bonus here. You're down 74. You have some clunky letters. I don't
Hmm.
think you have to be super concerned with the Zed and Sneezier. I think maybe just scoring some points under Jarls makes sense here.
Yeah, so as you've pointed out, you could do something like cow under Giles. It's could potentially give it a score, but then that you're going off to the right if you do that. Another option is using the S of voidness just to open up that right side of the board that's fairly blocked. So something like scowl over there is pretty nice because then you've got your kind of option for ing with like hooking an L with for scowl. The other option, which is probably not worthwhile, is Skoog, like Scoug, which has the S end hook on the triple, and there's not many S's left, so that blank becomes quite helpful. The problem is you'll be keeping your W, which is not great. Another option, I guess, you could think about is something like was onto the Z, but better leave, but you really need to try and open the board a bit. But he's gone for a lovely score of cow under the Giles.
Yeah, I guess Orgic through the R that keeps WU blank just if you really want to open the board. But I think the board is substantially it's gonna open at some point. And
And
yeah,
yeah, you've opened it
this
that way.
is you've opened it. Yep. That takes an S2, right?
Yeah, it should do. So Howard has come down with beating with
Yeah.
JOV and AWE for a lovely huge score. I mean, he still had the spot and next to Sneezier as well. Um,
Yeah. Man. Dylan's
and
taking a beating.
yep, and he's got bonuses on his rack, but whether they'll play or not is the other question. So he's got TROIGU blank.
Yeah, there's at least one bonus here at least. Rooting the E of
Oh yeah,
Sneezier.
true. With the anagram,
Uh,
which would also fit as well. Of
yes.
outrain. It's
Yeah,
pretty sad to have to
outrain.
use that, but may have to.
Yeah. At outrigs. Wait.
Regouts, yeah, but they're not really
Outrigs
going
and
to fit.
rigouts. Yeah, not quite fitting with beatings. Yeah, this is very unfortunate because
Can't quite fit under there.
just got hit with like 90 plus points and opened a bunch of scoring spots, and you just have to open even more. Just hope
Yeah,
for
I
the
guess that's the
best.
thing. I guess you kind of have, if you do things like, well, routing or outrain, then at least you're opening up a triple triple. And if you get lucky, if you pick up something wonderful there, you might be able to kind of come back a bit. Or if you force him to block the triple triple and then you get something massive under the job and AWE spot. So he still has options. I mean, definitely not an enviable position to be in against Howard, 140 down, but yeah, at least after your bonus, you'll only be less than 100 down, but still pretty tough to come back from
Yeah,
that. But plenty of time left in the game.
but if we take a glance at Howard's rack, eek.
Oh
We
dear.
see 60 points at the very least, 50 points coming down next turn. Yeah,
Mm,
this is very unfortunate
mm.
for Dylan. Man. Yeah, just one small little miss, I think, on Sneezier. 22 point 22-point swing seems to have led to disaster.
Yep, as we talked about, it doesn't take much to kind of turn the tide between the two top players, and like often those kind of fairly minor errors that you've probably seen over the last couple of days, they don't tend to change the outcome all that much. But when you're kind of having players of this caliber, one small thing is all it takes to kind of turn it from a win to a loss potentially. Not that we're saying that
So
Dylan's lost yet, but we'll see how it goes.
yeah, if so routing
And
is coming down. Yeah,
yep, I think
we like this
that's a
play.
choice.
Yeah,
And who knows, maybe he'll have a triple triple to counter Howard's next move.
yeah, there's still another blank. If I had the power, speaking of power RX being Power's rack after routing, I would run a poll in the chat. Ask how many people have noticed and how many people can't
And he's facing.
stand the I in native being upside down.
Yep, that's Howard. So Howard has gone for his EX for a lovely 60 plus. Well, how much was it? Somewhere along that line. Keeping
64?
PROWR. I guess.
61.
The other nice word he had was just PROWER. And I think with that, with the scores as it was, I think you would still have to consider whether you forego your X. But that being said, the job spot is
Oh,
still just too high a score.
okay. This is good.
Ah, well, he'll get a nice
This
triple
is
bonus at
good.
least. So Dylan's rack is ACEFRTU. So he's keeping it keeping it going, keeping it interesting. And he will actually catch back up with this move. So as we said, doesn't take much to turn the tides, even between two top players.
Yeah. Just what the doctor ordered or what the doctor diagnosed, right? Yeah,
So a
the
couple of
word
sevens there that
is
don't fit, but if you find the sevens, you should find the eight as well. So his sevens are Furcate and Factua, and I'll let you to leave your imagination for what his high scoring playable bonus may be.
R, yep. So I mean, it still will be an uphill battle. Or
Yeah, oh yeah,
this
sorry, they
hopeful
hadn't updated the
find,
scores, but yeah,
but definitely, definitely necessary to stay in the game.
yeah.
Drawing fracture here.
I'm sure he would have preferred to have a D instead of the R to do Furcated for much more, but you can't have everything.
Yeah, and of course, the longer Dylan takes, the more worried uh, we get in the commentary booth. Howard staring into the camera.
Maybe he's just trying to
But
looking for the anagrams. He doesn't want to miss Reese's again.
okay, it's lined up. I'm less nervous. My anxiety is no longer peaking.
Very good. And with the O, he doesn't quite have anything. But if he had an E to go with that O, he would have co-feature. But unfortunately, he doesn't. But anyway,
So is that what you've been studying? Nines?
I had studied them. So when I won, when I when I won the worlds, I knew all my nines and sevens and eights and sixes and the rest of it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, you heard it here first, folks. That's very impressive. That is, yeah, that's awesome. Living up to your last name, right? Sure, you never heard that before. Okay.
And here comes fracture.
Howard's gonna be surprised, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, maybe not. He just seems stone faced. I would be surprised if after like 2 minutes fracture came down, but yeah,
At
this
least it
brings him
gets him
over
closer
300.
and still a blank
Still a
left.
blank
So
out. Yep.
yep, still can go, as we've mentioned throughout this game, it can go either way. Howard's rack fairly clunky at the moment with WHORRPU, and unfortunately Howard has blocked his whoops, so WHUPS would have fit up there quite nicely, but no longer an option. But I'm sure he'll find something else that is quite good.
Yeah, I guess he's just been looking at WHORT to the Tina native and
That's true.
lined up on his rack for a while. Um, I
Yep,
don't know if you ever even saw whoops, but not that it matters.
yep.
That's
So as you said,
36.
he has played Wart, which is nice. And Dylan with a fairly nice rack of AFILNST. And if he had an A, he could have fantails, which is one of the lovely New Zealand birds, also called P Waka Waka for
But
those
he
who aren't in New
does
Zealand.
have he does have another bonus. This is very exciting. Is he gonna spot it through the U of
Ah, yes,
rooting?
that is nice.
I was
A
like, yeah,
nice, lovely anagram
anti-flu
of
does have an anagram.
inflatus. So he's got inflatus, which doesn't fit, but anti-flu anagram, as you mentioned, that will fit there quite nicely. And I would expect Dylan, well, he knows the word, and he's usually quite good at finding them. So keeping it dramatic, and that if he plays that, that will take him up to basically level. So again, anything can happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy comeback. I mean, that's why you play rooting. I mean, this can happen. The board was so open after that play. Um, but man, this is exactly what Dylan needed to stay in this game. And hopefully
Yep.
he'll have the wherewithal to look, even look through that U. It's just such a random
Uh,
tile
I'm sure.
sitting
I'm sure
there.
he'll be looking through that. Oh, he's found inflatus. He'll not. He'll find it then. If he's found one anagram, he'll find the other. So excellent. And this is kind of as we expect of kind of Dylan and Howard. They do find their words, and they don't kind of rush in too fast with that. I'm sure he would have been looking through the kind of WHO as well, particularly that O looks enticing, but nothing too much that, well, at least that I can see with my current brain. But yeah,
You know better than me. My heart's racing though. Every second that it's not lined up perfectly or on the board.
I mean,
It's
if you found
content. We need
inflators,
the content.
if you found inflators, it suggests you've studied enough to know it's got an anagram. Unless you're hoping for an E for inflates, in which case,
I,
oh
I
no.
mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. I certainly agree with you, but I
Ooh, it's no
he's
longer a
looking at
word.
other options. I'm getting very oh 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 so close.
He's just doing it to to make you keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. What to say? We just have to wait and see what happens here. But this is a very key moment in the game. Will
Mm,
Dylan find Lutina's through the U, or will he maybe find another way to get back in this game?
mm. I mean, if he doesn't find it, he's gonna have to try and, I guess, keep it open and keep things. And I mean, options you could even just do dump the F for Fledgy if you want, um, keeping Latins. But I mean, everything else is a little bit tricky. That you'd really like to get your bonus. Oh, he's found it. There you go. Just to put you all out of your misery.
Some
Now
breather.
it's just now just to make sure that he's just making sure he's not missing something else. And down it comes. Very well done, Dylan. Playing flutinas, with flutina being the anagram of anti-flu.
There we see a reaction from Howard finally.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like, oh, 3 in a row.
Okay. It's like, wow. How are you how are you back in this game? How is there still a blank out?
Yeah,
I
that's true.
mean,
That's always the frustrating part when you've got such a good lead and then you keep having your nice things and they just keep getting more and more and more and then it's just like, as you said, oh, there's still a blank not there. Great. Okay, so Howard has decided to try and get a bonus. So he's had a rack of markup I and he has changed KUM. I'm not sure I
no,
would have done
he's
that
played
so
it.
quick. Oh,
He's
sorry, I
played it.
missed it. Mask. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, cool. Good.
yeah, yeah. Just
Makes
part
more
of the
sense.
board we could barely see. Yes, yes. Musk for
Very good.
45,
Yep.
maintaining
Excellent.
a nice lead, and we see Dylan now.
Ooh, no blank.
No
But
blank.
he's got ADEEOQT.
Yeah, that's not great.
No.
We'll say. So we're obviously looking to play that Q, but
Especially there's a U and a blank on scene, but overall not great. Not many great options for that. I mean,
I only
whether
see
you just have to,
QI.
yeah, but in that spot
And then
you may, I guess, given how close it is, you may be better off just having to keep scoring and hope you draw that U plus or minus blank. So Deutsch there is quite nice for a score. Um, or even potential, yeah,
yeah. So what are you looking at? Oh,
like
fractured and do
fractured,
it.
so like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
DOIT.
yeah.
You've
Oh,
also
that's great.
almost got things going like through the, like between the F and Z down there, like things like DEET would work. I don't see anything that would quite get all the way to the double, but that would be quite nice if you could. But the other option you could do, although I wouldn't with what's left, is TEAD, so TEAED in the top left alongside fractured. Gets you a bit more, but holding QO when there's three O's unseen and no other E's, it's a bit risky. So those E's are quite vital at the moment. So 12 left in the bag, you'd rather be holding on to both, well, at least one or two of those E's for a while. And there is more
Yeah.
consonants than vowels, so
Oh,
I'd
that's
say,
so interesting. You're totally right with those three O's left and no E's. But for me, I feel like the upside to Teed is very good. 34, more than you're scoring with anything other than do it. And you're keeping I don't know. You're keeping options to draw an eye for QI. As we
you
know,
get,
Howard
yeah,
has both remaining eyes, but Teed would
true.
set up QI in the top left.
Yeah, you
And you're
get
paying
29 for
five
do it.
tiles with blank unseen. Yeah, do it's
Yeah,
only
it's
maybe
29.
31,
Is
31,
it? Could be.
but
It's not
yeah,
far
still not
off.
as much.
And
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
very interesting.
being slightly behind. So there's pros and cons of longer turnover. The problem is if you play too long, you run out of time to bonus because the tiles are all gone. And there's
Mhm.
only, what, 12 left in the bag. So after you play 5, that's 7 left in the bag. With going from QO to getting a bonus, it gets a bit tricky. Um, but
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is the toughest position in the game, I think. There's just so much to think about, and not a
yeah,
lot of time. Dylan under 6 minutes. He's looking at Odie at the bottom right. That
and
does a
that
lot of
has
things that are
yeah,
decent.
keeps it open. If you get incredibly lucky, you might pick up the ADU blank and then bonus with adequate, but you have to be pretty lucky with that. But it does mean if you then can dump like if you can dump your Q, then you've got ET left over, or if you get the U, then that's quite useful. And as you highlighted, you get a bit more turnover, open up the board a bit as well, because it's all well and good to have a bonus, but if you can't actually play it, then it's a bit tricky.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, very tough turn. Very interesting moment. And we see an
Mm,
exchange. I was gonna ask if there's
yeah,
any merit to this.
that's true.
The
Yeah,
Q
that's a
being
quite a good
so
move.
bad.
Get rid of the QO. Yeah.
Okay, so we see exchange of
And
QOE keeping ADET.
so again, pros and cons. So good for bonusing, but the problem is in a lot of ways you're forcing yourself now to need a bonus, because the problem is you're now 44 down. You're not going to catch up without a bonus. Whereas if you do things like Deutsch and get 30 something, you're only like 20 down. So you've got the chance of being able to come back without a bonus. But I mean, whether you would be able to again, either way, it's pretty tricky. You could go either way. And Howard has played OOP, keeping IRAI alongside the Wart, so blocking things up quite effectively. Um, and Dylan has picked up the blank, which I'm sure is what he wanted. And then he also picked up MV, which makes it less helpful.
Yeah, wow, this is very exciting now. As Howard has now just drawn the Q that was thrown into the bag.
Hmm.
So yeah, Dylan here is gonna need to keep scoring because now he's down 67 with 9 tiles in the bag. So I think timing
Yeah,
wise, things are still looking quite good for Howard,
yeah.
but
And Howard's picked up a
there's still
lovely E that went
options.
back in the bag.
That's true, yes. One of the E's going in the bag means Howard can draw it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he
from Dylan's
has.
perspective, you probably just have to dump the Vim, like VM, keeping perfect letters,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
hope
looking
something,
at, but oh,
and
it
hope to
feels
get
like
beating
you're
CST.
but it
Yeah.
feels like you're committing yourself by playing Vim, it feels like you're committing yourself to not bonusing next turn because the timing would be off a lot of the
Mm,
time.
yeah, but the problem is you force yourself to need a bonus because you've changed, so
Yep.
it's a bit hard, and that's
What
why. So
what's great about this is it blocks QI.
yeah, that's true. Although I guess from Howard's perspective, the main thing he needs to do is just make sure Dylan doesn't bonus, because if Dylan doesn't bonus, then it's Howard's game. But trying to do that while not getting caught with a Q in the long term is also a bit
Dylan
tricky.
Strong populated from the PO.
How nice. That's good.
Oh man.
It may have worked out for Dylan then, unless Howard blocks it.
He's thinking of changing.
But then
There's
that could also.
exactly 7 left. This is insane. This is crazy. So, what I'm seeing here is I don't think it's very relevant. The possibility of drawing FIQHS feeks through the F and the S
That would be nice if you got the H or the
of
blank.
50 points. That
I'm still
might
a
be a
U
way
from
for
his
Howard
perspective.
to outscore Dylan, but you need that H.
Mm.
This
Yeah,
is crazy.
yeah, I guess it also will be interesting to see what Howard does, because if Howard blocks the spot, then again that puts him in a difficult position again. But there's nothing hugely jumping out to be able to kind of easily block that area, so quite tough, especially when you still have that other one area open with beating. But
So is there a chance he's going to block the nines up there? Because I'm looking at it, and given that there's no eye unseen, it feels really difficult to bonus with beatings.
mm,
Because you have
Yeah,
to have the
exactly.
S in sixth position, and the I
Yeah,
usually helps with that. So
yeah.
there
So
might be a world in which Howard goes full on defense, but what do
yeah,
you play there?
you could just put I POI6. It's an
POI, but
option.
then the OW is still open. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
gonna
it's a
happen.
shame you
That would
can't.
be insane.
If you'd had like a D or something, then DA with DO would be more option. But the problem is without having a letter to go in front of the OH, it's a bit tricky. Ohio would kill things a bit, but then you're giving a 6 over there, and he's not so far ahead that he can sacrifice a 40-point move on the triple while holding his Q. So I think there's a reasonable chance, well, fairly good chance that that populated spot's going to be open um, if Dylan finds it, which is not possible, given that he'll be looking for it and it's a 8 with a D, so it's not necessarily a too hard bonus to find, although it's not a simple one by any means. But this is Dylan we're talking about, so we'll see what happens. Exciting game.
Yeah, has he spotted it? He hasn't given us any
Oh,
info. Okay, Howard
changed.
changes. And
But he also
now the
changed the
question
I.
is,
So is Dylan going to bonus the populated and pick up Feeks for 60 and then poor Howard?
oh man,
Or is Howard just going to bonus out in response?
whoa. Is
Mm,
he? I don't
probably
see anything
not.
through the E, right?
No, not from that. Librated with an A, but that's not going to be in the right place. Is that a D? That is a D, yeah.
So this is, oh
Driblet,
my
but
gosh. Okay.
Driblet's
Dylan
not going to
has
go down.
ADE
He's
update
found it.
blank.
He's found it. Of course he's found
Oh
it.
no. So we know
And
exactly
there is
what's
IQH
in
in
the
the bag.
bag. We know exactly what's in the
Howard is
bag.
going to be very frustrated.
Oh my goodness.
See, great game to be streaming.
Wow.
Dylan,
This is
Howard
why
is
we're
looking
happy to stream.
Howard is looking as happy as you would be in this situation, especially when you then track and find that IQH is left, as well as the A.
Oh,
So it's got QADI on the right or FIQHS for 60. So if Howard can somehow put his triplet down, then great. Otherwise, oh dear.
this is crazy. So if FIQHS, which is by the way, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for finding that. It's not the
Yeah,
most
very nice,
obvious
very
find.
nice.
If
Then,
that is missed by Dylan, is this winning for Howard?
oh, you're still going to be pretty tough.
Howard's now only down 31,
Yeah.
and the Q doesn't really have a home. Feels
Well, it's
almost
got lots of QAT.
necessary. QAT for
Mm,
12? I mean,
yeah.
that's not going to
You
do it.
probably wouldn't. You'd probably just hold on to it at that point. But
So, Bitter. We
you got
see
like
Bitter
Ohio.
come down.
Bitter
Bitter
LT.
through the D, keeping LT. I think Dylan has to find
8, 24,
Beaks.
26, 28. I mean, Ohio keeping QIN is an option. I'm not sure exactly if it's
Oh,
going to be enough, but because you're going
yeah, let me do some quick maths.
to. I'll leave you to do that quick math.
36
It's
minus
faster than me.
fine. No, that's not enough. That's not enough. Yeah, Bitter is 39 is 36, putting Howard up by 5. Ohio is 28, putting Dylan
Yeah,
up
no,
by
it's going to lose.
23.
So Dylan
So,
has to find his feeks.
wow. So it's going to come down to the final move, or the penultimate move here, I
Mm.
think.
The other option Howard's looking at, or could have, would be things like Driblet, which again would hold a D. Just thinking about how do you get the most out of your second move, because DOH should get you 11 for that, as opposed to if you LT, you're only going to get about 6 with lat. Um, and I guess the problem is also LT on this board, you might actually get blocked out, because if you take out the A, I know you've got 2 spots, you've got ALT on fracture as well.
Yeah,
Um,
so Dylan has 3 minutes. That is enough. But if I
well,
were him, he
he's
has
got his
Taji
extra
lined up.
he's got
He
his extra
should
10
be
minutes of
looking.
Howard's. So hopefully he's looking for what are you going to like. I'm sure
He
he will be.
really, yeah,
He'll be
he
thinking, what do
needs
you
to
do
be
if you
looking.
blocked your caddy?
needs to be looking for a plan B. This is very nail biting.
Yeah.
So I think Driblet, similar to Bitter, will win the game so
Yep.
long as Dylan
Yep.
doesn't
So
spot his insane 50-point play.
exactly. So I think in some ways it's almost like Howard. You just need to play something, play bitter or driblet, put
I
Dylan under
don't
time
think
pressure, hope he doesn't find it.
I don't think finding Feeks is useful at all for Howard in this position.
Exactly.
I
It's just
think
like
you should
just play.
just yeah.
I guess you'd yeah, yeah.
This is
Tough.
crazy. Okay, so let's back up here. Somehow, Dylan being down 160 plays Fracture for 101, followed by Flutina's Natural for
After his
74
routing.
after routing. Yeah, three bonuses in a row, and
Four and
then
five moves.
exchanges the cue and immediately draws a 9-letter word 2 turns later.
Yep.
This, yeah, game of the tournament. Absolutely unbelievable stuff.
Yep. And as we said, it can go anyway when you've got kind of two top players playing it, and it doesn't take much to turn it one way or another.
Well,
I guess
hold
it's a
on.
good lesson to, even if you're so far behind, don't give up.
If Driblet comes down, Caught for 22 is better than Ohio.
Mm.
That floats the
Oh yeah,
T
true.
out.
No. Oh yeah, true.
So that actually
But you're getting
might
11.
for 8 33 44 20 plus 16 is 36. That'll still win by 5. Yeah. So it seems like it's all coming down to whether Dylan finds the sneaky peaks through the disconnected F and S. Unless we're
Maybe that's
missing
a
something here.
yeah, maybe that's a reason to play driblet to be like, here Dylan, use the T, play QAT onto this.
Yes,
Don't keep looking. This will do.
absolutely.
It's fine. You can have a 5 point
Absolutely.
loss. It's close.
This is mind boggling. Yeah, no,
But I mean,
totally.
with 3 minutes, 3 minutes for one move is still a fair amount. But often when people get into this position, they get a bit stressed and kind of start panicking. But actually, almost 3 minutes is quite a long time when you're only really thinking about one move from Dylan's perspective. And Dylan is very confident under pressure, so he'll often go down to having a few seconds left. So you can be assured that he's not going to be stressing over his 2.5, well, almost 3 minutes of time left for his one move, and he'll be making the most of his time right now with what Howard's doing because he knows his caddy's going to get blocked like almost 100%. So he'll be figuring out what to do with that, and he's already thinking about it. Like, should I do QAT afterwards, or he's probably counting the score of when Howard places driblet, will make QAT onto that get enough, because Dylan will have seen Howard's got driblet on his rack, so he's not going to miss that Howard could just play driblet off the D. Um, so I suspect that's why Dylan's got his QA sitting there, just kind of calculating the scores, seeing if it's going to be enough to win or not.
Indeed. This is a Oh, even after bitter, there's Niqab
Mm,
or 17, which is just about as good as Cot would be. So this is all about math. Howard needs to be calculating. We know that the scores are supposed to be 490 for Dylan, 459 for Howard. They might have a different score.
that's true.
And the fact that, okay, so Howard's gone back to, I think, considering driblet. He's got his D separate from the other 6 tiles. But yeah, the fact that he hasn't been, like, that he saw driblet already and hasn't played it concerns me because it's a relatively easy calculation. I mean, as long as Feeks is not a thing,
Yeah, maybe he's
to
like trying to
see
hope
that
that
this is good
he's
enough.
probably seen Feeks. I'm like, how do I beat Feeks? It's like, I can't.
I mean, this is yeah, 0 way.
It's a shame you
Like you
can't have
leave
something like
Cotty
Tower Bird,
open.
but he's
Oh,
Howard's just trying
oh,
to make sure he can't have a bonus.
okay. Clocks have been stopped, so maybe there is a discrepancy in the scores both players have for each other, which we do see pretty
Mm.
often.
That's true.
So they're just going to work that out, and that's giving Howard a little bit of extra time, and Dylan a little bit extra. Both players need the time.
Oh, I mean,
Unbelievable game.
ultimately, more time advantages Dylan because if he finds Feeks, then it's game over. Doesn't matter what Howard does if Dylan finds Feeks.
Indeed, yes.
And it sounds
Yes,
like
yes,
probably the
yes.
math that you've done, and which I would normally do if I was actually there writing it down and all that. But it sounds like you figured out that either of those would still lose. So it sounds like Bitter or Driblet would still win, and then just you know,
Yep. Yeah, this is this is absolute insanity. Round 15.
and this is why it's good having plenty of time at the end, which I'm sure Howard is happy to have.
Yep. So as they get the scores figured out, another reminder: if you like this, well, if you don't like this, you don't like Scrabble. But if you are liking the stream coverage, feel free to make a small donation at the link that is pinned top of the top of the chat. Buymeacoffee.com/NZ Scrabble. And more games like this are sure to be in the mix for the
And
next few months.
and it looks like someone has mentioned in the comment that they don't think Dylan's found Feeks yet, and they could be right. We haven't seen him put an IQH on his rack, so who knows? Lots of drama. Oh, and Howard's telling people to go away, which is understandable given how stressful it is.
Yes, yes, yes. It's really. I feel like if you see it, I mean, you almost don't want to believe it, but
Yeah,
if you
you
see
don't want
Feeks, I
to
think you know that you've won the game,
exactly. You don't want to put them. You don't want to put three letters next to each other in case Howard notices and starts looking for what you're going to do with three letters.
right?
Not that he can do anything about it anyway.
Right, right, right. Oh
Yeah,
man,
but I
this
think
is
often it's a if you're sitting there and you'd seen it, you'd probably be like, well, once Dylan, oh, I was thinking about Ohio. That's a
it's
bit ominous that he hasn't found it then. Oh no.
wrong way, Dylan. Wrong
It's like,
way.
no,
Turn
no, no.
around.
Keep looking, keep looking. To be fair, it's a very hard find. So well done to you for finding it. Um, and let's see.
One of
I
my
mean, Dylan's found
best.
some massive things. So yeah,
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. One of the craziest games I've ever seen.
yeah,
And both players
very
have
good
played
watching.
so well.
Yep. So it lived up to expectations. So well done, Howard and Dylan. Regardless of who ends up winning, it's been a very impressive game and high scoring.
And I think there's positions like these where you start to get low on time, like Howard is, and you start to lose your mind a little bit because you've been just
Having spent 7 minutes on this
calculating.
big, like,
Yeah, just nonstop calculating, trying to figure things out. And you
yep,
maybe you've forgotten something you've calculated. You don't remember what's right, what's wrong. You have to recalculate everything. A
yep,
good thing in Scrabble, as opposed to chess, you are absolutely allowed to write on your score sheets. Uh, because without that, the math would be a lot more difficult.
yep. And it's
I don't
also
know how much math you
mm,
do, but some of my score sheets are just full. Wow.
mm,
Wow.
yeah. So I guess we'll see if he's. I guess he's trying to see if he can outscore Caddy. Maybe he can.
I cannot imagine. Where where is he going after this?
I mean, you try and go through the E, but can you? But not really. Not that I can see for huge scores anyway.
Oh, but this is bad. If he changes his mind, now that spot is on
Yeah,
Dylan's radar.
yeah.
No,
It's just like, what can I use there?
Howard
Oh,
Howard
maybe Howard
has
didn't.
to.
Maybe Howard didn't see a Caddy. Oh, he slayed it. Oh,
Wow. There's no
let's.
way
I
he
guess we'll
didn't
see.
see Kaji. Maybe he's hoping that TELED is a word.
Yeah, but mm,
26. Still 45. 19. I don't think it's enough still.
No, I think it's a case of you try, like, sure, in a perfect world, if you've both like if you found both of them, sure, blocking your feeks gets you a slightly better spread, but actually, like, you have to just hope that Dylan doesn't see it because otherwise you definitely lose. So sure, you've minimized your spread. So if you're playing a computer where you know they're not going to miss anything, then sure. But I guess it brings the kind of human element of actually, sure, feeks is going to get better, but you just have to hope they don't see it. Um, Unless Howard knows is seeing something that we're not, which is always possible.
So I bet you, oh man, I bet you that Dylan has no idea
Yeah, it's like
why
Dylan's as confused
Frims
as we.
was played. Like, did he just throw the game?
Like, did he not see Caddy? Yeah, and this is, I guess, where how it shows anything can happen.
And Howard did mutter something. He's gonna go out with Louted,
Hmm.
which will come up
Guess an
way
extra
short.
13. Yeah. Yeah. See,
So
anything can happen, and that's sometimes when seeing more is actually a disadvantage because it sounds like based off that Howard surely saw Feeks, but whether Dylan did or not raises the question. So it's like if you block the obscure one, they may not have seen it anyway, and if it's the only way you can win, yeah. But sometimes with too much time left, you can overthink things, which, yeah, very impressive game though. 5-3-5, 5-1-1 from what I'm seeing on my screen.
yeah, and it looks like, yeah, 535 to 511 does look like Howard is telling Dylan, yeah, I can't outrun Feeks, and Dylan's like, Feeks, oh my goodness, and Howard just
Yeah.
reacts.
Dylan's like, oh yeah, yeah, Feeks, right. Which, I mean, when you're under pressure and you have to find it, then actually there's a reasonable chance you will. So even if he hadn't found it yet, doesn't mean he won't have found it. But it's one of those situations where sure, like playing like blocking Feeks gets you closer spread, but actually in the real life game, you'll have to kind of hope that your opponent doesn't see the really obscure spot, and it was a fairly tricky one. Whereas you know he's never going to miss caddy, so if you play Fribs, you 100% lose to caddy. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Oh yeah, man, I oh, it's gonna be hard to live that game down. Are we going to get an interview with Dylan after this? That would be nice.
I think both of them are going to want need a bit of a break after that one.
I agree. I agree. Don't want to force it upon them. But I guess it is part of the social contract, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Yep, they're doing an interview. That's what they're planning.
Man, crazy game, amazing game. Um, Huge congrats to Dylan, and I mean commiserations to Howard. He played fantastically, and honestly, his endgame was probably optimal. And my question is, I think, would Nigel have played Frims? I think so. Anyways,
I guess the other thing
Nigel.
for interest, there would have been a really cool extension if it had come up, in that you could extend Giles to Gilesburg by putting BERG on the end of it, but not that it came up.
Oh wow! I just had a game where Jarls was on the board, and I didn't think of it this time. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Man. Okay. Incredible. All right. If you guys have any questions for Dylan, of course we have one big one. We probably know the answer to already, but feel free to let us
I'm sure he
know in
saw
the
it.
chat.
Hi guys. Hello guys.
All
Well
right.
done, Dylan.
Thank you.
Very
Well
impressive.
done.
Thank you. Who is this?
Good
Is this
game.
Alastair and Josh?
It is, yeah.
Oh, nice to speak to you again, man. Hey Josh.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
How's
tough
it
game
going?
this one.
Yeah. Crazy game. The best game so far. So, thank you.
Always
You
very,
guys put on a show.
very entertaining, man. That, yeah, I don't know what to say. To have two good places for the queue at the end is just so lucky. I threw it back. And
Yeah, we were
I think
scared.
I think before that we have to answer the question on everyone's mind. How did you feel about the upside down eye, Dylan?
Oh, I didn't. Which one? Oh, this one. Yeah. Oh, you don't notice these things when you're in the zone.
Oh man.
Fair enough.
Great. Yeah. So okay. So did you see both Kaji and Feeks then in the end?
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing stuff.
There was a dream pick after populated.
Yeah, very nice find of that.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't sure if Vim was the right play for such a low score, taking out a good Q spot, but you know, I had such good letters. I was really just hoping for a bonus.
Yeah, we liked every single one of your plays. There was one play you made, Sneezier,
Oh yeah.
that if you think about it maybe a little bit, you might see you had 22 more points
Oh
on that
no.
turn.
Oh no. You know, as soon as he put down his first eye, I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to play Sneezy. I didn't even look for it.
Yeah, that's just, we're sitting here. We get to, I mean, of course, Alistair saw it instantly, but that's like Reese's with 5 overlaps. You're not looking for that.
That being said, if you'd done that, you wouldn't have got your routing, fracture, and flutina, so may have ended up badly for you.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, that's why you're the world champ, eh?
Wow, yeah. But an incredible game. So how are you feeling when you saw populated? Tell us what was going through your mind.
Oh,
there.
well, I was wondering whether I should hold it back because of the queue. I knew that I would be in real trouble, but I didn't have a choice. So from that perspective, it was the easy choice. It just had to be done. Was very surprised, to be honest. I didn't expect bingo on this board, but you got to just keep believing, keep giving yourself chances. Great.
Yeah, and we were saying that on the commentary as well, that you kind of exemplified that idea of never give up. Like, you were so far behind at some point in those games, and actually you kind of came back to win it. So very well done.
Yeah, thanks. It's one of those games that you really have to fight for. It just makes it so much sweeter.
Definitely.
Yeah, there were so many elements to this game to talk about. But we're gonna let you go and have a little break after that. Must feel good, but yeah, both of you exchanging the Q at the end, that was crazy. There was just so many elements to this game. So thank you so much to both of you for the masterpiece.
Yeah, thank you.
We're better off for it.
Thanks for commentating. You want to have a chat with Howard?
I don't know if Howard wants to have a chat with us.
If he wants to.
Good luck for your other games, Dylan.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck, Dylan.
Let's have a chat with Howard. Alastair and Josh.
Hello, Howard.
Hi, Howard. Yeah, well, very well played, Howard, and commiserations. That must have been a very disheartening way. After his third bonus in a row with a blank unseen, I can only imagine. Well, I can imagine how terrible that must have felt.
Oh, the worst thing was the queue. The fact that I threw it in, instead of, because there was nowhere to go and he just blocked off my high spot, I possibly could have made a spot for myself. Where I later played Fibs if I played something there with my other eye and set myself up. But then the fact that he had two such huge Q spots sitting there at the end is just...
it's incredibly unlucky to, with 7 left in the bag and not even a U and a blocked board, to have pick up QAIH and then have 2 perfect places for them. It's very unlucky.
And also the great letters at the end, the driblet. I needed an eye to go through for Trilbead or T for Bristol, but he just gave me an E, which is normally a good letter to go through. There wasn't anything there, was there, with the E?
No. Yeah, if you had drawn just a couple different or one different letter, yeah, you would have bonused out, and yeah, that's just one of the reasons why that was just so unlucky.
He kept just coming back with more and more bonuses, and I kept thinking, that's got to be the end of it, surely. And then populated. Oh my God! And even then, I was still in with a chance. If he didn't have the 2 Q spots, I was thinking, I can still do this.
Exactly. All it would take if he didn't have the A, or for example, then he wouldn't have had the caddy.
Yes.
And just one minor thing different, and
one
the
tiny
whole
little
game's
thing.
different.
Yeah. And I can't say I've ever won a game before against 5 bonus words, so that would have been nice.
Wow. Yeah, that would
fair enough.
Fantastic.
That would be.
Well, we think you played really, really well. Really no quibbles with anything that you did there.
thank you.
So you can feel good about that.
It's a weird kind of thing to feel good about because I still lost,
Yeah, losing with 511, it's like, it's like, well done, you lost, but you got 500.
So
well done.
Yeah.
Did Dylan? Were you telling him that he could have done something better with a Z?
Yeah, so he had Reese's above the Sneezier,
Oh,
but
yeah.
then he wouldn't have got all of his other bonuses
oh
through
my
his.
God, yes, it would have been very different. That would have been a great score too.
22 more points, Josh calculated.
Wow. But then
But
the
then he
whole
wouldn't have
game
got
would
all
have
the
been
floaters.
different. Oh
Exactly.
my God. And there was so many things I thought about at the end there to try to sort of stop him, but just the fact of the 2 Q spots was just impossible, really. Even if
Yeah.
if I'd been able to go through with my final letters through the E of populated, go out there, that would have been fine. Or even if I could have, had an I instead of an L and had been able to make tired down the left-hand side, that would have sashed it for me as well. But
Yeah, so you would have lost by 8 if you had played Fritz instead of Fribs.
Giving Bedell.
Then you get Bedell through the E.
where was the Fritz?
So-
Down there, yeah.
So
like,
Fritz where you
same
play
spot.
Fribs.
But
And then you play Bedell for 31 to go out. I think you lose by 8, but that had to be the best you could do. I think.
Yeah.
Crazy
dear.
stuff.
I was just hoping that somehow I would find an outplay for my another outplay for my DELT that was going to score a bit more.
Yeah. Okay. We're
so
hearing here that you're 3 points off of the New Zealand record for highest losing score. Well, that's another
you could always
bad
got
news.
That's not
another record.
So if I'd gone for the the other
You could have gone for the record.
oh dear. Also, I guess that Dylan and I have equalled the 8 in a game. Again, I've had it quite a few times, and Dylan's I think had it before as well.
Another one to the list
Yeah.
of your records.
But I just want to get 7. I don't want to be stuck on 8. In fact, I want to get 8 like you got once, Alastair.
Yeah, that was a dream game I had.
Yes,
but
I know. I was
don't
there.
think it's like once in a lifetime.
Okay, guys.
That's true. All
Thanks.
the best for the rest of
Alright.
the ones.
Thanks
Keep
a
up
lot.
the good work and very well played.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Howard. Yeah, well played. Okay, so we're gonna head to the standings here. I think.